BooTube. Hi, I'm adjusting my camera. um, I recorded for this particular episode already. This particular episode for for this particular show already. But I actually recorded two videos, but for some reason when I was about to upload them, they disappeared again. So I'm gonna redo it, and hopefully this won't become another problem. But anyway, this is Legends of Tomorrow, Season 1, Episode 15, titled Destiny, which is the episode second to last. Basically, Episode 16 is the season finale to Season 1 of Legends of Tomorrow, so Episode 15 is the episode beforehand, and this episode seriously broke my heart, hence why I ended up with a second video when I first recorded this. But, yeah, the team is taken prisoner. With the Rip, Ray, Stein, and Kendra are taken to these pod-looking prison things. Of course, if you guys remember, Carter was still unconscious, and Jax was sent back to 2016 because, the aging thing happened and Stein sent him back. But we have yet to see Sarah and Snart. Anyway, Mick is taken out of his little prison pod thing and being taken by, I want to say another Time Master. I don't remember what his name was, but he's taken away to be reconditioned back into Kronos. Basically, they're trying to brainwash him again and turn him back to Kronos. And Kendra is taken out of her little pod prison to be taken over to Savage, and apparently Carter is too. They're both being taken to Savage as he starts to return to 2166. And and then we go to the Sarah and Snart, who's stowed away on the secret little compartment thing inside the ship that apparently Snart knew about on the Wave Rider. And in the beginning, Snart's like, we got to get the hell out of here, because he's like, if everything Mick said about the Time Lord, Time Master people are true, it's not going to end well for us. We got to get the hell out of here, right? And so Sarah's like, we can't just abandon our team. And it pretty much leads to a mini confrontation between the two of them. Like, Snart literally takes out his cold gun and points it straight at Sarah, right? And, Sarah, she tries to reason with him. She's like, don't do that. Don't become that guy that I met, that jackass guy that I first met. And she even reminds him to the fact that Snart was the one that stopped her from killing Stein, right? Which I think was an interesting moment where she's trying to remind Snart that he does have humanity in him, some goodness in him, because he's the one that convinced her not to be a killer, not to be a monster, and all that she wasn't a monster. And you could see the conflict in Snart, which I thought was really interesting. You could see that Sarah's pretty much calling his bluff, because he's pointing a gun at her saying, yeah, I'm the one that told you not to shoot Stein, but you're the one that's afraid of not killing people. I'm not. And so Sarah actually calls his bluff by saying, fine then, shoot me. And you could see the conflict in his eyes. It's like the funniest thing in the world, because it's like, you never really see Snart so conflicted. The only time I really saw Snart that conflicted to shoot somebody is that Flash episode. Do you remember that Flash episode where Snart's sister Lisa went to Team Flash for help, saying that her brother was kidnapped, Snart was kidnapped, and it turns out that Snart was not kidnapped, but he was actually willingly helping his father on a job. And the only reason why Snart was helping his father is because apparently his father had, not to Lisa's knowledge anyway, she had no idea this happened, but apparently the father put a mini bomb in Lisa's neck, and the father's all like telling Snart, if you don't work with me, I'm gonna make that bomb go off and your sister dies. And toward the end of that episode, you guys remember, the Flash shows up, trying to buy some time for Cisco to get the bomb out of Lisa, and Lewis, the father, he's all telling Snart, shoot him with your cold gun and all that stuff, and he's delaying it a little bit so he gives Cisco more time, and by the time Cisco finally gets the bomb out of Lisa, Flash pretty much says out loud, Lisa is safe. And so Snart ends up shooting his father, Lewis. And you could see in that scene, he was very conflicted to shooting Flash. You could tell that he did not want to shoot Flash because, Flash is helping, trying to save his sister. But he was also, somewhat compliant, like struggling to comply because, his father had put the bomb in Lisa and he has the trigger in his hand. You know what I mean? Anyway, getting back to Legends, not the Flash. They get this, this heated moment between the two of them gets interrupted, but when all of a sudden this old school phone that Rip Hunter has inside his office starts ringing, which is like the funniest thing. And it turns out that the phone call was actually from, what was her name? Gideon. Yeah, Gideon. Apparently she hit herself from, I think, like the main computer system or whatever, so like the Time Masters wouldn't find her. And they end up coming up with a plan. Sarah, Snart, and Gideon end up coming up with a plan to save the rest of the team. And if I remember correctly, one of the Time Masters, Zaman or whatever, takes Rip with him to try to explain something to him, and he explains that apparently the Time Masters the whole time were like puppet masters to Rip and his team, because the Time Masters, apparently the reason why they're helping Savage is because apparently this alien race will apparently attack Earth in 2175, and apparently only Savage is the only person in the whole freaking world around that time able to unite the world and stop this alien race. And there's a completely amazing name drop, which kind of shocked me, because he said that the alien race that comes and attacks Earth in 2175 are the Thanagarians. And the reason why I say it's familiar is because the only time I actually heard the word Thanagarians when it comes to DC is the Justice League cartoons. Justice League and Justice League Unlimited mention Thanagarians, and they did invade Earth at one point, and we find out that the Thanagarians are obviously from a planet called Thanagar, or something like that, and they are the race that Hawkgirl is actually a part of. Because if you remember in the Justice League cartoon, Hawkgirl, in a way, kind of betrays the Justice League when Thanagarians come down and all that stuff. I don't remember the main thing. All I know is that Hawkgirl was a Thanagarian. And when the moment the Thanagarians came on Earth, she pretty much switched sides from Justice League to the Thanagarians, you know what I mean? So, the fact that this alien race is coming 2175 and they're literally called Thanagarians, could we be seeing more Hawks soon? Possibly season 2? Because I don't think that they'll introduce Thanagarians, like actually mentioning them, without at least seeing one. But since we only have one episode left this season, which is this week, May 19th, maybe we might see them in season 2. You never know. But that was a cool name drop. But anyway, Zaman also mentions, like I said before, that the Time Masters were pretty much the puppet masters, because apparently the Time Masters have this thing. It's not really a weapon, but I call it like the ultimate weapon, because apparently the Time Masters have something called an Oculus, and no, not the Oculus Rift, guys. I know what you're thinking, but it's not an Oculus Rift. They have something called an Oculus, and the Time Masters have been using the Oculus, to manipulate Rip and his team, to basically help facilitate Savage's rise to power, including the murder of Rip Hunter's family. So basically what we find out is from Zaman that the Time Masters have been using this Oculus thing, and been using it the whole time during this entire season of Legends. They've been using this Oculus thing to manipulate Rip. First starting with the murder of Rip's family being using that as a motivation to get Rip to get his team, and pretty much use the team to make Savage's rise to power even more imminent, you know what I mean? And so basically controlling they're controlling everything they do, you know what I mean? It's like they literally are puppets, and the Time Masters are their puppet masters, and it really sucks, because it's like, you also find out that the Time Masters were the ones that wanted Rip's family dead. right? They're mainly the main responsible ones for the death of Rip's family, and it sucks because Rip pledged his allegiance to these guys. And they're the reasons why his family gets murdered, in technicality, right? But anyway, they return Rip back to his little, I won't call it cell, but it looks like a little pod cell. And, Stein and, Ray think that he's been tortured, but in all honesty, you know, Rip actually tells Stein and Ray what he learned about the Time Masters and the Oculus and the Thanagarians and all that stuff. And he also mentions that when Rip first saw the Oculus, when Xamon took him to the Oculus, he actually put his hand in there, and he actually saw like visions of the past, present, and he actually saw a couple of visions of the future. And he ends up telling Ray when he's back in his little cell pod thing that the thing he saw in the future was the death of Ray Palmer. And of course, Ray's absolutely in shock, right? I was in shock when I heard that. But like, it's a lot to take in, the fact that this whole time that they thought that they were in control of their own destinies, their own movements and actions and everything, they were manipulated the whole time into doing every little thing they did in this entire first season. Every little step they took, every little thing they said, every little action was pretty much made by the Time Masters, not Rip or his team. And so it's like a WTF. I mean, if I would find out that everything I've ever said or done was already predetermined, it sucks. Hang on for a second. Sorry about that. I had to say goodbye to somebody. But anyway, so we find out from Rip that apparently he saw bits of the future where actually Ray Palmer is actually killed. And so, of course, Ray is in shock. We are all in shock because they did say there was going to be a death in the first season, and since we're in the second to last episode of this season, could it be Ray? You know what I mean? And, I'm going to upload this real quick because, I don't want another moment where I lose this video, so I will have a part 2 to this where I'm going to get into more details. But anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video.